Good afternoon, Quasar Markets Live. I hope everyone's having a good afternoon. And we have Agneiszka Wood, our trading mindset coach here at Quasar Markets, from a head coach here. Agneiszka, how are you doing today?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me again. And great to see you again
It's
after a
great
little
to see
break.
you. I know we had about a week off there as with some traveling there
Yeah.
from both sides of us. So it's great to have you back. I do have up on the screen before we even get started. I want to make sure we tell people how they can find out more about your program, your systems. So I put up
Yes.
the QR code here that gets you into there. Could you tell people a little bit about where this brings them and so
Yeah.
forth?
Yeah, this is like, the basic thing really. If you have been training for a while, you struggle with consistency, or maybe you have just started, this will work for you as well really well because these are just simple 10 tips that you can very easily implement into your trading process that will help you to improve the consistency of your
Right.
results. So just very easy, simple ways. You can, pick a few that apply to you and just try it out. So
Awesome.
immediately
And as you know,
actionable.
I'm a big fan of it. I've used a lot of the
Yeah.
different tools that you gave me out of there, and I've seen the way it improved not just my trading, but even my quality of life in general, and sort of getting my mind in the right spot every day.
Right.
Is great. It's funny. I just got off an interview with Dr. Alan Ellman, who is the founder of the Blue Collar Investing Corp, and we were
Hmm.
talking a little bit about mindset there from the idea of, retail traders. One thing that I've noticed a little that I didn't talk to you about this beforehand, so I hope I don't blindside you
That's
here.
okay. No,
But it's
no, it
more
doesn't matter.
about the gambling component to investing that I'm seeing from new retail
Hmm.
investors. That has me a little bit worried, for people because
Yeah.
investing should not be gambling.
No, no, and it never is, but a lot of people, like even if people, that don't know anything about trading, when you start talking about trading, they say, "Oh, yeah, it's like gambling, right?"
Right.
But
It works on
there
both
is
ends
this,
of it, but it worries me. I
yeah,
wanted to ask if you've seen that change in some of the newer people. I mean, when people come to you, I think they already have been in the trading field for a little while and they're looking to
yeah,
improve their results as opposed to you being the spot where a new trader maybe first starts with.
that's right.
Because,
Yeah, because when you start trading, the set of expectations that you come into the market is completely different than when you have been trading for a while and have been
yeah,
losing and actually discovered like this is not as easy as I thought. So your expectation is suddenly like shaken up and it's like, what is wrong with me? What is going on? But at the very beginning, and I still have traders who reach out to me sometimes because they have heard, oh, I need to do something about my mindset, and they're not entirely even sure what it is. Like, yeah, I need to fix my psychology. It's
and
just
they don't even have a trading psychology to start off
system
with.
or anything. Yeah, or that sometimes they don't have any basics to trade, but
Right?
they want to make $1 million and quick, of course.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
and
come
and
on, there's
that's
still
why
like
that
10 trading days left in the year. We can't get that
I
done.
know. Yeah, why don't you just go and push? Just like double up, and it's gonna work. Um, so that's that's the mindset of yes, you definitely have to fix your mindset because this is not possible. And a lot of times when you enter the market with that mindset, it seems like it is because you get this, beginner's luck. I call it
Right,
unluck.
absolutely. The worst thing that and even more so than when
Right.
it comes to just straight stocks, is it horrifies me when someone has a win with a blind option pick that they don't realize what they
Yeah.
did,
Yeah.
because they go to zero and they find out the hard way. I had a friend who during COVID, when everybody got their stimulus money like everybody else, he started trading. And I'll never forget it was Apple, so it's easy to remember. And he was just every week he was buying the next call. So if it was trading at
Right.
150, he bought the 155 expiring next week. And, we had that run where it hit every week, every week. And
Right.
he just thought
Right.
he was like, this is just free money. It's nothing. Until, as
Yeah.
you know, Apple uncovered calls are expensive, especially just outside of the money or at the money. And
Right.
he put, a couple of $1,000 into buying the next one, and it went to zero.
Yeah, but this is the thing. It's like when you see something working once, or you see someone else
Right.
doing something, you're like, okay, I'm going to try it. And then you size up, you double up, and you think it's going to work. It's not going to work. And
Right.
even if it works for the others, it
Yeah,
it doesn't
it
say it will
didn't
work
work
for
because
you.
it should have worked. It worked because luck came in, and we don't want to use luck or hope when we're investing. We
Right,
want to use,
right,
tech proven techniques and look at past, history to be an
right,
indicator of what the
right.
future will bring us. Um,
Yes,
and I love to bring that in because it's just one thing that I'm noticing as I talk to more and more educators and people in the markets is how these things do interact. And what I was going to take away is a lot of the things that you bring up in your trading habits are things that Dr. Ellman was bringing up in his system that have to happen before you enter your trades there. And it's one of
right,
the things that you do such a good job of pointing out and doing it is that you have to have an actual thesis or whatever you want to call it, a plan. What are
right,
you going to do? You don't just blindly enter. I think, and we'll just use Apple again. I think Apple is going to go up, so I'm going to buy. It's not
right.
that's not how you do things. Is you should have
Yeah. And
a
even
plan.
if you make that plan or you think it's going to happen, what is really important is to have the awareness that this is just your thesis. And a
Right.
lot of time what I will hear when people tell about their plan, they are literally talking themselves into it as if this is a given. And I think
Right.
having that attitude of I don't know is something that every trader needs to have. And that comes back to how we have been taught and how the society works, and like you have to be the best, and saying I don't know is not something that people easily do because it makes you vulnerable. But if you really look at people who are intelligent and who have achieved a lot in their life, they are always learning.
Yeah. Oh,
And
without a
trading is
doubt.
one of the yeah, and how can you learn if you already think you know everything? So having
Right.
the attitude, I know a lot, but I don't know everything, and I don't know what's going to happen. So preparing yourself for different possibilities, for different scenarios, is like, okay, we are going on vacation and it might be great weather, but it also might rain. Why don't we take an umbrella? Why don't we take a
Absolutely.
rain jacket, depending on where you go? So the same level of preparation you have to think when you start trading is like, what can happen? Like what are the scenarios I have to prepare myself for? And that doesn't happen. And that's where the gambling starts.
Right.
I'll just go and see.
Yeah, that's, and the other thing that new traders hate to hear you say, and that I always talk about is paper trading. And if you've ever wanted to see a new trader or a prospective client, if you run an education program, quickly,
Right.
change their tune as you explain that. But I've never found someone who was successful that didn't do that. And even if you are real trading, I still paper trade new techniques and new things, or maybe I
Yeah.
was in a position and I did X, but I'll also go right to a paper trade of it and see what would have happened if I had done Y, and that's one of the
Right.
things is evolving as a trader that's so important, in my
Right.
opinion. Um,
And what I'm really proud of is that, traders who went through my program, they are able to make the call now and say, today I am just going to paper trade, even though they can trade,
yeah,
they are consistent, but they say, I did not prepare well, or I didn't have time to do my mental prep today. And I know that I won't be able to, I am
to
not in a
do it right.
state
Yeah,
that
you're
I
not in the
can
right
manage the
position.
stress, that I
Yeah.
can be in the awareness state. So I'm just going to paper trade and learn,
That
which
and
I
it's
think is
that's
fantastic
so
to make that
smart.
call.
We say it a lot. I've never really taken it to that extreme. We often say here at Quasar that no trade is a trade. Is
Yeah,
sometimes the chart doesn't look
exactly.
right to you, and sometimes
Right.
whatever the market, you're not, hey, listen, it's there's a lot of news hitting right now, and If you
Yeah.
don't have a conviction, then you should be on the sidelines.
Right. And it's not always easy. Like if you haven't built your resilience yet
You're right.
to sit there and watch while everything is moving and not hit the buy button, then I would say do not even go there. Don't put yourself in the circumstances where you will get triggered to buy. If you know, like, I shouldn't be trading today, it's like if you're not planning to drink, why would you go to a
Right.
bar?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's that's why I said the paper trading has been a little harder for me. Is that if I get in front of it and I see my Slack go off or my Discord chat or something, so for me, I more take that day and say, okay, let's read up on what's
Yeah,
going on in my, back in my hometown. I can catch up on the news at home or
right,
my
right.
Facebook or whatever it may be, and
Yeah,
sort of disconnect a little bit. But I don't mind that idea. What I do sometimes on those days, as opposed to paper trade, I will say I was looking at X, Y, and Z, and then the next morning, how were my results? How would they have come? And what I normally find is I
yeah,
would have lost more than I would have gained on those days because of my mindset being like that.
right, right. I think it's really important to understand like what the tools are for. Because if you think about, paper trading, yes, you can do that to practice, you can do this to test your strategy, and you can do this to just keep yourself busy, but with the awareness. Because sometimes, and I don't know if you had this experience, I remember myself doing that too in the past. When I would paper trade, I would size up, and
Yeah.
I would,
So you're
and I
not
would just
practicing what you're
do
going to
crazy
actually
things.
do.
I
Right.
know. And then at the end of the day, I was like, oh my God, look how great day it was, because now you're looking at the money, you're
Right.
looking at the number, and you like, come on, don't lie to yourself. Because if
Yeah,
you would be
yeah, I
playing
wasn't buying
live, this
100 shares
number
of
would be
Nvidia.
different.
I didn't have $400,000 to spend on a Berkshire
I
Hathaway today, to
know.
be honest with you. But I
Exactly.
successfully scalped that into $1,000 win.
So it's really like you gotta be aware of what you're doing and
Yeah.
not lying to yourself. So really, the integrity is really important.
Well, that's a great point that I think to bring up today and to talk about that is reality versus our perceived reality and how
Right.
that could affect our trading a lot. I've listened to a lot of your podcasts. I've pulled up your podcasts here on our
Thank
page because I
you.
do want people to know, again, how to find you. I use Spotify, so I do it there. I think I saw you're on Apple
Yeah,
Podcasts.
we are on all
Okay,
major
all the major
podcast
ones.
platforms.
And it's
Yeah,
called Confidence in Trading. I have it on here on the screen for our viewers so they can see it. You know,
thank you.
and I do think that what you tend to teach that I've noticed is that if the conviction isn't there, then you might want to take a second look at things.
Yeah,
And then also that you're challenging yourself on almost a daily basis to say, did I do my proper setup and did I follow the guidelines to get, and what were the results based upon those guidelines? In other
yeah,
words, you have this great worksheet that says, did you get enough sleep? Did you eat breakfast? Did you have caffeine?
yeah.
Did you meditate? And for some people they might say, well, that doesn't what does that have to do with trading? I can tell you from experience, I never did that before I met you. And I already see, like, I don't, I'm very honest, I don't do all 10 or 12 of the steps. I've changed
But
a
it doesn't
couple
have,
out.
you don't
Right.
have to,
Yeah,
right?
it's I what happened was by tracking all 10 of them for a month, I realized these are the three that have influenced my, have an outside
Right.
influence upon my trading. So these are the three I'm going to focus on. And that's what I want to say to people is I'm pointing out today or this week on Quasar, within our educators, the ones that really there are two sets of instructors or educators out there. In your case, a coach, not, you like to use the word coach, which I do too. We called ourselves coaches at Prosper,
Yeah,
because I want to teach people to fish. I'm not there for you just to follow, to put your fishing line next to mine in copy trade.
right.
We want to teach you is not one size fits all. And what I love is before you even invite someone to join your program, the 3 month program, you do a
Yeah,
call with them to find out if they're going to be a good match. You're
right.
probably the only educator that I talk to, and again, how many people I deal with that does that. So I do want to point out to people this week differences between some of the programs and what are to me, some of the more important parts. And what I'm going to point out here is what I noticed is that you take your own personal commitment and
Right.
develop a relationship with your clients. I just see it.
Yeah.
It's you don't have students, you have clients, and they seem to be lifelong clients by reading the reviews that are out there on Trustpilot and
Right.
other sources there. So you could talk a little bit to why you do this in your criteria and why you think it's important.
Yeah. Because you see, like when I started my journey, what I like the things that I was missing, that's what now drives me to give it to others. So every mistake and every, obstacle that I came across, like at the time that I was struggling, I was actually looking for coaches. And first of all, I was not able to afford it because
Yeah.
it was just, just extremely expensive. There was hardly any mindset coaches. And secondly, I I feel like I need to trust someone, that someone is working with me and has my best interest in mind. I have been in so many chat rooms which I thought would help me, but instead, I just kept losing more,
Right.
and I felt like nobody really cares. Like you are there on your own, and for me, it's so important to give that support and that feeling to people that they can actually trust that there is someone who is out there to actually help them.
Yeah, without a
And
doubt,
that's for me really important.
Well, it
But
has to be.
also the commitment is like, if I want someone to commit, sorry that I interrupt you, I get very
No, no,
passionate.
it's perfect. That's what I was going to say is the commitment that you give people,
Yeah,
you have to expect that back also. It's got to be a
yes,
two-way
exactly.
so that you can see that because I could see it. People, listen, we could all sign up a million people, but if they're not the right mix, then no one wins. You're not going to enjoy coaching
Yeah,
them because they're not going to take to the coaching method maybe that you have versus someone.
yeah,
And that's been hard for me. I had to tell students back in my day at Prosper that no, you're not a match for what we, I'd have people that came in and they wanted to invest in the newest meme coins out there back in the meme coin phrase. And I said, sorry, we don't do that here. Well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, if it doesn't actually have a purpose, if it doesn't actually do something for society, so to speak, or
right,
solve a problem out there, I'm not going to invest in. I'm not going to tell you to just because it's
right,
the fad. Because that then go gamble, go to the casino and put the $100 on red. You probably got a better
exactly.
chance.
Yeah, yeah. And the commitment is so important. Like I really, I really put my whole life into it, like
Yeah.
a lot of heart pour into it, and I have this very deep belief that we have so much potential, and I know, I mean, this is how I live. I can achieve anything I want, and I know everyone else can. So I bring this deep belief into my programs, into my clients, and help them to believe in themselves that they can actually achieve it. And I can tell you that after a lot of, long time losing, people who are coming to me, they don't have that confidence. So I call it superpower,
Yeah.
is to be able to bring them on that level of, you can call it frequency, energy, whatever, but on that level where they actually start believing in themselves. And I cannot do it other than giving them my commitment, which I do just out of passion because I
Sure.
see them and I see the potential. I don't see the limitation. I see the potential. And that's where I'm like, wow. That's where I get
Yeah, it's what
really
excites us.
enthusiastic.
Yeah, as an educator, when the
Yeah.
light, as I was saying, I was just talking with Dr. Ellman, when the light bulb goes off and you see that student who all of a sudden, is now using you as a sounding board, maybe, as opposed to looking for you to give them the answer to a trade.
Yeah.
And I know it's a little different
Yeah.
with yours, but when they come to you and they say, hey, Agneiszka, last night, or today when I was trading, I could really see that, I was hit with that same spot that I always get hit, and I make that bad decision, and I don't hold my thesis, and I hit that sell button too quickly. But
Right.
today, I trusted myself, and I did this. I've seen it when I tell
Yeah.
you what's happened to me, and I'm not one of your
Right.
clients. Like that smile that just came across that says, "Wow, look, they're actually listening,"
Yeah.
and it is a great thing for us, as educators, and that's what I want to get across to our viewers. These are the type of educators you want to find. You'll quickly tell when you are meeting a coach or meeting an instructor, an educator, whether you are just a dollar figure or whether they really want people to learn and they're looking to, you know, to grow together. I mean, because I'd have to
Yeah.
ask you the question: do you find that you grow with your students?
Oh
You
my
know,
God, absolutely. Like, it's like, and that's also the approach of a trader. Like, I don't know everything. And I tell my students, I don't have all the answers, but what I do have, I have a gift that I can help you to get your answers out and help you find those answers. And, like, actually, I learn more and more from my students, not just about them, but about myself. And the more, the more I let my gifts speak,
yeah,
and the more I am there for them, the more they achieve. So it is always like this, it's a two-way stream. And
absolutely,
that's why I need to have a click with someone, and I need to know that they are committed. And it's just so wonderful to see that people are willing then to be vulnerable. And when someone comes in and start talking about, like, yeah, I it's not my mindset. I don't really, I want to trade well, but I don't, this whole psychology thing is like,
yeah,
well, you're not ready. I'm not saying you will never be ready. I'm just saying you're just not ready yet,
absolutely.
because I am on a mission to help people who are ready, and I don't want to put my energy into convincing someone. You know what I mean? It's like
Absolutely,
I have
absolutely.
much bigger fish to fry. There's so
Right.
many people who are ready and want
Well,
and
and I
need
think
help.
especially when it comes into when you start talking about the mind and the psyche and stuff, if they're not open to it and if they're not already embracing it, then they're probably, yeah, you're fighting, you're starting with a fighting, an adversarial sort
Yeah.
of relationship where they want to
Well,
quit.
yeah, there's a
You're going to
lot
get
of
the
resistance.
yeah but. Anything that you say is yeah but, like my
Yeah.
4 year old, you know.
Well, I can tell you that I recognize this pattern very well, because it's a very typical pattern for people um, who are very ambitious and who don't want to make mistakes. This is one of the biggest things. This is one of those, like in my one of the podcasts, you mentioned that deadly distractions in
Yeah,
trading is about mistakes. If you don't want to make mistakes, as this was really my problem from a very, very young age. I had to be perfect. The fear of rejection was just too big. I would pay too big price if I make a mistake. So I learned to be perfect, but I also learned not to admit mistakes. And it killed me in trading. Like,
right.
I would fight the market. I would double up. I would just do everything to still say to myself, I was right. That's really, really important to understand it from yourself, that if you have that, I remember myself, like, asking for help is really difficult
Yes,
if you are perfectionist and if you don't want to make mistakes, because asking for help is admitting you cannot do it yourself,
right.
and
And
it's
we
tough.
can't, and it's never, yeah, it's the one that, and asking for the correct help, because again, what we'll get is a lot of students that will ask you for a trade, but not teaching, not actual help. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
tell you to buy, stock XYZ right now because I have a strong conviction that it's going to go up, but that isn't going to help you become a better trader.
right,
And they don't like
right.
that answer a lot of times too. So
Yeah,
you have to do it. I know that you're on a tight time schedule today, and we don't want to manipulate that at all. Agnieszka,
that's all right.
thank you so much for joining us. I
Thank you,
will
Howard,
will
as
have you back
always.
on Wednesday again to talk more about this. Have a great start to your week and good trading.
Yeah, we can talk more about the distractions in trading maybe
I
on
know I
Wednesday, because
changed
there
our
are still
subject in the
others.
middle. I apologize, but sometimes,
That's all right. I just go with the
you're too
flow.
easy to talk
Wherever
to.
you take me,
See?
Howard. Wherever you take me, I'll pick it up. Like,
Awesome.
I'm really passionate about the topic, so I really always appreciate if I have the opportunity to share a little bit of my passion with others.
I love it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you